Hello, crypto fellow travelers. This is Charles Hoskinson broadcasting live from warm, sunny Colorado. And today we get to celebrate something pretty astounding, remarkable, and something I never personally thought I'd see. And I'm glad to see it. As many of you know, I've been in the cryptocurrency space for almost a decade. And when I joined the Bitcoin ecosystem, Bitcoin was very unstable. Hash rate was unstable. Price was unstable. We were so happy to see it above $1. And it was fun. No one really cared about it. You traded cryptocurrencies. At that point, there was only one, Bitcoin, on a spreadsheet. We had Namecoin and a few other things floating around, but nothing significant. And in 2013, I decided to make a class. In one of the lectures, I had a kind of a forward-looking presentation, and I said, "What would it take for Bitcoin to get to $1,000? What would it take for Bitcoin to get to $10,000?" And this concept of $1 trillion market cap, which is just an astoundingly stupid amount of money. It's just unbelievable. It seems so far away. And now, this week, we saw it happen. And there's a feeling of inevitability about it, and the bull run continues. And because such big actors are getting in, there feels like there's a degree of resilience about Bitcoin that it's never really had in terms of its price at the moment. It also takes you by surprise. I personally feel that there's a major issue with Bitcoin in that it's an ecological catastrophe if the system continues the way it is. And I profoundly hope that the core developers of Bitcoin, they somehow find a way to get off of proof of work, or at least make it useful proof of work. There are so many good protocols, and this is something that we need to do. But setting the technological disagreements aside that drove many of us into the altcoin space, it is a moment for a person who joined this space so long ago to see how far it's gone. And when you talk about $1 trillion, that's larger than the economy of most nations. When you talk about $1 trillion, that's tens of millions of users. That's billions of dollars of real economic activity. When you talk about $1 trillion, those are markets that rival the gold markets and the silver markets and the Forex markets for most mid-sized trades. There aren't many things that we have in human history that have grown this quickly, achieved this level of capitalization, and are this prominent in society. So part of this is a reflection of the decline of the dollar. You have multi-trillion-dollar companies like Microsoft and Apple. We've printed $6 trillion out of thin air. And Elon Musk said it best: in an age of negative interest rates, what else you got? And I believe he's very right in that respect and very prescient in that respect. But it is a moment to reflect and think, well, where are we going to go with all of this? I think in the next 5 years, we're going to see a lot of nation states, their central banks, take positions in cryptocurrencies. I think we're going to see a lot of countries start issuing their own cryptocurrencies. So the CBDC area is going to get very sexy and hot, and there's going to be significant competition from the BIS. And that's a great thing for all of us. I also think people are going to start having a more nuanced conversation about the representation and storage of wealth. We generally look at people and say, that person's a millionaire or a billionaire. We measure that wealth in the national unit of account. This is how much yen they have. This is how many dollars they have. For example, we have the Forbes Rich List, and it shows you all these people, and they have their pictures, who they are, what they've done, and how much they're worth in dollars. What our industry is doing is transforming the entire concept of wealth representation to a portfolio. Instead of saying, I have X dollars, you'll have a basket, and that basket will have tokens, and those tokens will be fluid. So when you go to Starbucks, when you go to McDonald's, when you go to Walmart, when you go to your local store or restaurant and buy something, one day, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, but this is inevitable. One day, you'll use your cell phone or some digital device or payment card that's programmable. You'll tap it, and you pay in the instrument of value you want to pay in. And they get paid in the instrument of value they want to get paid in. So maybe it's a European cafe, and they get paid in euros. And guess what? You could have paid in airline miles, or you could have paid in Pokemon cards that are now NFTs. You could have paid in fractional reserve of your house. You could have paid in tokenized gold. You could have paid in tokenized silver. And somewhere along the way, there's these amazing rails that are going to be running that handle all the tokenomics. They handle the decentralized market making. They handle the liquidity. And it's an instant transaction. And they get exactly what they want, when they want it, where they want it, how they want it. This is the world we're moving towards. So in a world like that, do we really care so much about the sovereign currencies anymore? If you can fluid move from one form of wealth to another, if you can tokenize everything, including your labor, your brand, your identity, your intellectual property, your time, you can get very creative about these things. And when you pay people, they can always be paid in what's most valuable to them. And that doesn't necessarily have to be US dollars or euros. And algorithms can run to figure out all the taxes and all the exchanges and so forth. $1 trillion Bitcoin means that is a reality. It's an inevitability. It's going to happen. I don't know if Bitcoin is going to go the way of Yahoo and the way of Mosaic and the way of MySpace, or if Bitcoin is going to be TCP/IP and stick around forever as a foundational protocol. I personally feel there are serious issues that need to be resolved for that durability to come into play. And yes, it absolutely needs programmability, or else it's just going to be replaced. But that's a conversation for a different time. And that's why altcoins exist, and that's why competition exists, and that's why we have a diverse ecosystem. But regardless of where you're at, whether you're a maximalist or a person who loves all of these coins or hates all of them, I think it's a moment for all of us to reflect about the fact that we're moving towards portfolio-based value and what this is going to mean for the entire world. This is it. The revolution has come, is here to stay. And in the next few decades, everything is going to change about the way wealth works, the way we think about wealth, the way we work with each other, the way we do business with each other. And that is a direct result of the vanguard that Bitcoin had. It is, in my view, the most significant human invention of the last 100 years. And that includes the internet, bar none. It just is. It's going to transform everything, all society. And this is a milestone, a very visual milestone about why and how. Yeah, there can be collapses. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 30, 40, 50, 60% reduction. But even if that happens, you still have to understand at this point, there's hundreds of billions of dollars floating around, and that's not going anywhere. So even with a correction, it doesn't matter anymore. It's inevitable. And we should all celebrate for that. That's a great moment for our industry. It's a great moment for all those who dared to dream. And I'd like to give a personal thank you to all of those who made this happen. Hal Finney, Marty Malmy, and others were there at the very, very beginning, like block 170 beginning. And Marty and others were some of the first core developers to come by. Gavin, he took his salary in Bitcoin when he was part of Bitcoin Foundation. Mike Hearn was another one. There are dozens during that time period who are now being forgotten or foreshadowed by other events who ought to be honored because they were there when Bitcoin was nothing, as was Roger Ver, who went around convincing every person he ever met they need to take Bitcoin, sometimes in the most annoying way possible, but it turned out to be a pretty effective way. And he's a marketing machine. Eric Voorhees is another one who went through this amazing transformation and has started some of the best companies in our industry. And what was so cool is that these stories are now codified in wonderful books that are floating around, like Nathaniel Popper's Digital Gold and other such things like Age of Cryptocurrency. And they tell these amazing stories of people all across the world who come from all wakes of life. Some political firebrands, others social entrepreneurs, but they were all unified with a common purpose, which is we can do better. We can make money better. We can make finance programmable, and we can liberate the world in our own way. And this week, we got closer to that than we have ever been before. And now everybody has to take this industry seriously. It's not going away. Not going to happen. And because it's not going away, it now gets to do the fun thing, which is it gets to change everything. So thank you, too, for being part of this movement. Cardano would not exist if not for Bitcoin. The same for Ethereum.